So today you will be working with the Perspirometer AATCC test method 15-2002. The purpose of this equipment is to help determine color fastness of colored textiles to the effects of acid perspiration. Just a summary of it, you'll be taking your colored textile and put it in contact with a multi-fiber material. It's going to be wet in simulated perspiration solution subjected to a fixed mechanical pressure, then allowed to dry slowly at a slightly elevated temperature. Once conditioned, the specimen is evaluated for color change and the other multi-fiber is evaluated for color transfer. So you were supposed to prepare your specimens before class. You should have a 2x5 warp specimen and a 2x5 filling specimen. And today in lab you will be preparing your 2x5 multi-fiber specimen, and it should have 13 fibers on it. Okay, so you are not to mark on any part of your specimens, this one or your multi-fiber specimen. In order for you to mark or to figure out which way is which, just pick off a few strands, make it noticeable, and then you can label that. You can know that that's the warp direction. If you only peel off in the warp direction, then that means that's the warp direction, and it doesn't really matter for the multi-fiber. Okay, so you were to sew both of these long edges together with the largest stitch on the sewing machine, so that should be 5. Sew them together because you're supposed to take them apart after, well, you're supposed to take one side apart after you are done testing it. Okay, so to begin the procedure, we are going to take our specimens, and suggested by the AATCC, we were supposed to place them in a 9 centimeter diameter, 2 centimeter deep petri dish. But for class, we are going to be using a beaker. So once your beaker is filled with solution, you're going to place your specimen in the solution and leave it for 30 minutes. Now, as it is sitting, you can squeeze the specimen and agitate it a little to ensure that it is wet. After 30 minutes, you are going to take it out. Once your specimen is done sitting for 30 minutes, you're going to take it out and bring it over here to the wringer. It's the one closest by the door. And you're going to stick it in perpendicular to the lines on the multi-fiber fabric. Stick it in that way. So once you take your specimens out of the wringer, you're going to bring it over to the Perspirometer, and you're going to twist, take it out, and then there's a screw in the back. You're going to twist it a little to loosen it up. And you're going to grab 2 glass plates. Be careful to not grab anyone else's. Once you take your 2 glass plates, you are going to put your specimen in between, like this. And then once that is done, you're just going to stick it in here. You should have 2 in here, 1 for warp and 1 for filling. And then just tighten it back up. And the whole entire lab group is going to do this part together. So all of our entire lab specimens should be in this one Perspirometer. After that, the Perspirometer will go into the oven. And it will be dried for 6 hours. Once it is dry, someone will take it out. In your next class, your next lab, your specimens will be placed on the counter, and then you're going to record your results. Okay, so once you are done with your procedure, testing it all, you are going to undo one side of your stitches. One side should still be stitched, one side you're taking apart. So that way you can be able to tell if there are any color changes on your test fabric and any color transfer on your multi-fiber specimen. For your evaluations, you're first going to be evaluating your test fabric. You're going to put it under the fluorescent light, and you're going to grade it 5 being no change and grade 1 being severe color change. And you're going to need 3 raters, and you're going to record it and average it out in both warp and filling directions. So for the next evaluations, you're going to be looking at your multi-fiber fabric, and this one is a couple different evaluations. So you're going to also put this one under the fluorescent light, and you're going to get another original untested multi-fiber fabric to compare it to. And starting from this black line, it's really hard to see, but once you get your multi-fiber test specimen, you'll be able to see that there are 13 different specimens on this sheet or on this fabric. The first one by the black line will be acetate, and then the next one will be acrylic, triacetate, cotton, acrylic, the Crestline 61, polyester Dacron 54, polyester Dacron 64, nylon 66, acrylic Orlan, or you get it, and it should be all of them there, with the last one being wool. So after you do that, you're gonna record the evaluations for both warp and filling. And for the multi-fiber evaluation scale, you're going to be using grade 5 for no color transfer and grade 1 severe color transfer. So what you're basically looking at is that if anything that was on this fabric transfer over to this fabric. That is why it is very important for you not to mark anything on this fabric, because it can affect your results. You can't even use tape because the stickiness on the tape can even affect your results.